Right. So, as you know, I've been testing out a few things, and you can tell me in the comments what you think and what direction you'd like me to go in. Because it's all about, providing something that you are gonna enjoy. That I also don't mind watching hours of to sift through it to figure out like which one I should or shouldn't speak about or whatever. I've said this before, but I'm gonna say it again, innit? If I'm gonna talk on something, I'd rather talk on something I've got some sort of experience with, so I could give you like a fair analysis of the situation. I've even been there before, or known people that have been there before, experienced it myself, or know people that have experienced it, or whatever. Anyway, I watch a lot of true crime stuff. I did want to go down like the mafia route and the cartels and the black gangs and a lot of the American and foreign stuff, yeah. But maybe that might confuse my algorithm. Maybe I need to start a new channel for that. But we're gonna test it out with true crime. You know what I'm saying? UK stuff. I come across this thing. Now, I ain't gonna lie to you lot. Obviously, I'm from London, so I think we're with the shits or whatever, yeah. But when you start looking at the Midlands and Merseyside and all of that, it gets dark up there. I don't know if it's because some of them are near the ports and there's just hella shoes and laces. I don't know if it's because there's less cameras. I know there's something in the water over there. I don't know. You get what I'm saying? What I do know is yeah, in this thing, a man got his lion robbed and thought, you know what? I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go pitch the niggas Marge. Like, I don't know what part of the game that is, but I know it's a wicked part of the game. I even mean to laugh because R.I.P. hurt. You get what I'm saying? But yeah, like when you do things to people in this game, you can't really gauge or put a ceiling on what their reactions might be. You know what I'm saying? So if you are in a game, mind how you step, and be ready for everything and anything, because you know what I'm saying. But anyway.
The term refers to county lines operations, drug networks that use dedicated mobile phones to coordinate sales, deliveries and territory control. Customers call or text the line to place orders. Runners deliver. The phone becomes the nerve centre of the operation. The JJ line operated across Wirral, Merseyside, dealing primarily in crack cocaine and heroin. At its head were twin brothers James and Curtis Byrne, both...
So it's these are the bosses, isn't it? Yeah, these are the bosses. These are the ones that's running things still.
24 years old in 2022, but their similarities ended with genetics. James was the driving force, violent, calculating and ruthlessly ambitious. By age 24, his criminal CV already read like a career criminal's lifetime achievement list. He'd been involved in an attempted murder.
That's in the career criminal life achievement list. Hey, see the guy talking, yeah? Hey, you see when these nerds talk on gang shit, yeah? They've got a different angle still, because a green would never ever say that, but sometimes it works. I give him that. Sometimes it works.
Caught with firearms. He had convictions for drug dealing, assault, and witness intimidation. Violence wasn't a last resort for James Byrne. It was a business strategy. Curtis was equally volatile, but followed his brother's lead. Where James plotted, Curtis executed. Together, they'd built the JJ line into a profitable operation with a loyal customer base and a reputation that kept competitors at bay. That reputation was built on fear. Cross the Byrne twins, and consequences followed. They'd beaten rivals, threatened witnesses, and made it clear that any challenge to their authority would be met with disproportionate force. In the insular world of street-level drug dealing, that reputation was currency, perhaps more valuable than the drugs themselves. The JJ line wasn't some sophisticated cartel operation. These were street dealers with pretensions of grandeur and running a mid-level distribution network out of council estates and rented flats. But in that world, perception mattered. Looking weak meant losing territory, losing customers, losing income. And for James Byrne, losing face was unacceptable. This was the organization Jacqueline Rutter's sons were about to humiliate. And on October 28, 2022, just 48 hours before the murder, that humiliation arrived. In criminal slang, taxing means robbing another criminal, taking their drugs, cash, or property by force. It's criminal on criminal theft, and it operates under different rules than ordinary robbery. The victim can't call the police, they can't report the stolen goods or file insurance claims. Their only recourse is reputation, retaliate hard enough that nobody tries it again, or accept being seen as weak. On October 28, 2022, Jacqueline Rutter's sons taxed the JJ line. The details of the robbery itself remain murky. Neither the Rutter sons nor the Byrne organization advertised exactly how it happened. But the result was clear. The JJ line lost drugs, cash, and most importantly, the Nokia phone that ran the entire operation. The drugs and cash were replaceable. Annoying to lose, certainly, but drug dealers factor loss.
You see that, yeah? You see your runners get... Because I'm guessing, yeah, they must have run up on the bando Boom, boom, boom. Caught the runner slipping. Cool. The dinners, you're mad, yeah? But you can either cut other dinners, go to your plug, re-up again, work it off, whatever. If your line's doing well enough, you're not really gonna, unless they run up on the belly, which you probably wouldn't have the belly near the line, innit? So wherever the line is probably where the motherfuckers was working, innit? Well, you could, but anyway, wherever the food is calm, peas, you're also pissed. You get what I'm saying to you, yeah? But you can just run out the runners and this, that, this, and kind of get it back. But the Lizzie, yeah, the Lizzie's gone, yeah, you're annoyed. Like, you know, like, you're counting the money you're not making. Like, you was making 3 bags a day, now you ain't had it for 2 days, so you lost 6 bags now. Like, it's so, and plus the food, and the, like, oh my God, like, you're, like, you know what, yeah? That happened to me one time, yeah. My guy, I'm mad. I'm glitching a little bit. Fuck it. Happened to me one time, I had 2 Lizzies, yeah. I had my runner with them, and the nitties pickpocketed him and stole one of them. And these little shits was licking shots on my line, said, nah, I'm making nitties, set them up and this, that, like, oh my God, you run like them. Anyway, them not go mad. But yeah, I know how annoyed they was, innit, trust me. So this is where, like, they break down, like, what everybody's job was that I got caught up in the M and whatnot. And you know what's dark about M's and that, yeah? It's like, bro, everybody's getting bed. Like, whether you're the dude or not, like, everybody's getting bed, everybody's getting stupid numbers. That's crazy works.
James Byrne, 24 years old. The orchestrator, the decision maker, and ultimately the shooter. This was his operation from start to finish. But he didn't work alone. Barry Glenn, 47 years old, the getaway driver. Glenn's job was straightforward: drive the team to and from the murder scene, provide transport during the crucial moments when seconds mattered. Simon Allen, 55 years old, the arsonist and cleaner. Allen would be responsible for destroying evidence after the fact, specifically burning the getaway car to eliminate forensic traces. David Harrison, 59 years old, the logistics coordinator, handling planning and communications, ensuring everyone knew their roles and timing. Read those ages again. A 24-year-old giving orders to men aged 47, 55 and 59. Men old enough to be his father or grandfather, taking instructions from someone young enough to be their grandson. It's an almost absurd inversion of how we typically imagine criminal hierarchies. In most...
Nah, it's not absurd at all. It's not absurd at all. It's actually pretty common. Especially when you're dealing with like brandy and whiskey and stuff like that. Like a lot of the times, you know what I'm saying, you're gonna have some of the nitties that you might know from the hood when you was young or whatever. And they might be playing different roles or whatnot, but they've known you since you was a kid, and they know, like, especially if you're like dotting where you're from. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like, yeah, it's just, that's actually standard. You know what I'm saying? Very standard.
Ran back to the Vauxhall. The engine was already running. Barry Glenn hit the accelerator and the car disappeared into the night, leaving Jacqueline Rutter bleeding on her doorstep. Inside the vehicle, there was likely panic. The adrenaline, the realization of what they'd just done, the fear of being caught. Despite their planning, despite their coordination, these weren't professional killers. They were amateurs who just committed the most serious crime in British law. The escape was chaotic, but initially successful. The Vauxhall sped through Wirral's residential streets, following pre-planned routes designed to avoid main roads and CCTV hotspots. For a few minutes, they might have even believed they'd gotten away with it. The black Vauxhall insignia was driven to the Morton area of Wirral, a few miles from the murder scene. The plan was simple: burn the car, destroy the forensic evidence, make it impossible for police to connect the vehicle to the crime. Simon Allen, 55 years old, had drawn the short straw. His job was to douse the Vauxhall in petrol and set it ablaze, ensuring that any DNA, fingerprints, or trace evidence inside the vehicle would be incinerated beyond recognition.
Man said the short straw, bruv. He had the easiest fucking job.
But in the minds of these amateur criminals, this was solid thinking. No car, no evidence, no case. Fire destroys everything, right? Wrong. First, modern cars are remarkably resilient to fire. The vehicle identification number, VIN, is stamped on multiple parts of the vehicle: the chassis, the engine block, the door frames. These metal components survive fires that completely gut the interior. Police can still trace the vehicle's registration, ownership history, and movements even after the bodywork is reduced to a charred shell. Second, setting a car on fire in a residential area attracts attention. Neighbors see flames. Someone calls 999. Fire brigade responds. Police follow. Suddenly, you've created a beacon announcing major crime occurred nearby, at exactly the time you're trying to stay invisible. Third, and this is where the incompetence becomes almost comical, Simon Allen bought the petrol earlier that day from a Texaco station. On camera, in 4K resolution, without a disguise, face fully visible, walking into frame, purchasing a jet.
Oh, that was a rookie mistake, man. That was a rookie mistake, man. Like, you're never supposed to, man. You're supposed to go there in the motherfucking dingo, face covered, yeah, fill up a jerry can, slap it in the back of the boat and scur off. You're supposed to pay for that shit, man. Fuck's sake.
Jerry can of petrol, paying at the till, walking back to his vehicle. British petrol stations are some of the most comprehensively surveilled spaces in the country, specifically because petrol is used in so many crimes. And Alan strolled in like he was buying milk. When the Vauxhall went up in flames, Merseyside police immediately began pulling CCTV from nearby petrol stations. It took them perhaps a few hours to find Alan's purchase. From there, they had his face, his vehicle, and a direct...
I can't believe that's how they got. That was such a fucking rookie mistake. That was a fucking rookie mistake still, I gotta lie to you, though. That was crazy.
link between him and the means to commit arson. But even before they found the petrol receipt, police had something else: phones. Remember what this entire murder was about? A stolen phone. The JJ line lost a Nokia and decided to kill someone over it.
Do not tell me that these niggas glid to slap over a man's marge with their phones on. Cause you're supposed to have your throwaways. That the hell? I don't think they did that. That's too much.
Yet during their own crime, every single one of the perpetrators carried their personal mobile phones, and those phones were pinging cell towers across Wirral throughout the entire operation. Cell site data is one of modern policing's most powerful.
There was not MCase ready, boy. There was not sitting sleep ready at all. Yeah, they're dead after that. You don't all had your fucking personal phones on you. Like, do you know what it is? That's the type of shit, yeah. That's the type of shit that happens, yeah. If you slap over something by accident. If you slap over something by accident, or you slap over something spontaneously, cool, you got your phone on you, now you got to work around that. But if you know you're going to put something in bed, you're going to turn off someone's TV, but you're gonna, what? What? Mate.
Tools. Every time a mobile phone connects to a cell tower, which happens constantly, even when not making calls, it leaves a record. Police can map a phone's movements hour by hour, sometimes minute by minute, tracking its owner's journey across entire regions. James Byrne's phone pinged towers near his home, then near Jacqueline's address around the time of the murder, then along the escape route, then back to his area. Curtis Byrne's phone, similar pattern. Barry Glenn's phone, identical movement pattern, confirming his presence in the getaway vehicle. Simon Allen's phone, traced from his home to the Texaco station, match.
You see that? I don't even need to hear the rest. Guilty. You're guilty. There's no going outside of it. You're done. You're cooked. You're cooked. Like, you're cooked. That's it. Forget it. It's over, buddy. All of that stuff.
David Harrison's phone, coordination calls and messages tying him to the planning and logistics. The irony is almost too perfect. They murdered a woman over a stolen drug-dealing phone, and their own phones became the evidence that would convict them. While
he's a pussy. He's a pussy. He's actually a pussy. He's a piece of shit. Like I said, the irony, like, they murdered somebody over a phone, and then the phones is what ended up getting them lit. It gets like that though. But taking your personal phones to the motherfucking hell, what fucking part of the game is that? Like, I don't know about all that, man.
is one of the most surveilled countries on Earth, with an estimated 5 to 6 million CCTV cameras. The chances of driving through multiple neighborhoods, committing a murder, and escaping without being caught on multiple cameras. Essentially zero. Police found footage of the Vox.
Yeah. Think about that before you glide out. Think about that. Like, you know, in, say, for example, the USA and other places, and like, man can get away with catching multiple, having a good few on their belt. You know what I'm saying? Forget about even Yard and Africa and all of that. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I'd be over there, I'd be looking, I'm thinking, oh my God, like, you know, I can see so, because you know the way my criminal brain thinks, I see so much madness is just being about, like, oh my God, what is that, a bank with only one secret, that madness is, you know what I'm saying, yeah? But in England, you send something to sleep today, and you get away with that shit, so you gotta really know what you're doing. You get what I'm trying to say to you? You gotta really know what you're doing, car. You know what I'm saying? Like, and you know what them Jake said to me one time, yeah? He said to me, this is when they was investigating, man, for one of them things, and they said to me, you do know, yeah, that, like, we always, like, know who did it, and 9 times out of 10 we can prove it. It's just on the one way we can't, but we always actually know exactly who did it. And they were saying it with so much trust and so much I believe them. Like, I remember them saying to man, anyway, let me even, yeah, but yeah. It's Crazy works.
Suspects' homes recovered items matching descriptions from CCTV footage. A particular jacket worn by one suspect, shoes with distinctive tread patterns, gloves that forensically matched particles found at the scene. Each discovery added another layer to the prosecution case.
So you lot thought that you burned the whip, but keep the garms that you lot wore? Do you not know about GSR? Do you don't know that you might have been seen on CCTV with the clothes on? That's supposed to, if you've got 24 hours, that's supposed to be out of here immediately. Do you know what I'm going to say to you? Like, what the fuck?
Trial testimony also revealed the human cost. Jacqueline's family members gave victim impact statements describing a woman who'd been a devoted mother and grandmother, someone who'd worked hard, raised 6 children, and was looking forward to watching her grandchildren grow up. Her life hadn't been...
Yeah, R.I.P. her, man, but you see what? You see when you get innocence involved, yeah, and it's like this impact statements and all of that, this really gonna throw the book at you, because you know that if you take out someone, then you know they would have shared a nasty piece of work. There's people coming through saying, "Oh, he did this to me, he did that to me." See, they're still gonna purge you, but you might can get some. Do you know what I'm saying? Or if the person was coming at you and you had to like defend yourself or whatever, could kind of cut you a bit better. But shit like this. Yeah, they're not gonna hear nothing.
Glamorous or newsworthy. It had been ordinary, which made its violent end all the more tragic. The court heard how her family had been devastated, how her children lost their mother in the most traumatic way possible, how her grandchildren would grow up knowing their grandmother was murdered over a dispute that had nothing to do with her. James Byrne wasn't just...
Yeah, see that narrative there? Doc. That all of that equals Byrne.
...life for shooting someone at a bus stop. This man had shown again and again that human life meant nothing to him when his pride or business interests were threatened. The jury deliberated for several days. The evidence was...
Doc. You know, my brother was already doing the whole play. What they're gonna slap him. They are going to slap him.
...overwhelming, but the severity of the charges required careful consideration. These verdicts would result in life sentences, the most serious penalty in British law. The jury heard how 4 men planned, executed, and covered up a murder to save face over a mobile phone. When the verdicts came back, the courtroom fell silent. January 2026, Liverpool Crown Court reconvened for sentencing. All defendants had been found guilty, though Barry Glenn's conviction was for manslaughter rather than murder. The jury accepted that while he'd knowingly participated in serious violence, he hadn't specifically intended to kill. Mr. Justice Goose, preparing to hand down sentences, made remarks that acknowledged the complexity of the case while firmly establishing culpability. He noted the taxing of October 28th, acknowledging that Jacqueline's...
Manslaughter is a funny one, you know, because you could get really low for manslaughter, or they could slap you like just as mad. But what I do kind of rate them, I think nobody snitched. Like they all went no comment. I think they kind of kept it true still. Like I didn't hear no snitching anyway.
Sons had indeed robbed the JJ line, taking drugs, cash, and the Nokia phone that ran their operation. He acknowledged that this robbery humiliated James Byrne and his organisation, creating a motive for retaliation. But then Justice Goose delivered the critical point. Jacqueline Rutter was an entirely innocent victim. Her son's actions, he noted, did not justify or excuse what followed. And the robbery created context for the murder, but it provided no legal defence and certainly no moral justification. James Byrne and his accomplices did not want to lose face in the violent world of drug dealing, and so they murdered a woman who had no involvement in that world. The judge emphasised how calculated the retaliation was. Byrne didn't target the sons directly. He targeted their mother specifically because she was accessible, vulnerable, and because her murder would inflict maximum psychological damage while demonstrating...
You know when they start using them sort of words, accessible, vulnerable, they're just making you sound like a fucking demon. You know it's good, yeah, you know they're going to slap the book at you.
...boundary of civilised behaviour. Then came the sentences. James Byrne, life imprisonment with a minimum term of 40 years before eligibility for parole.
Ooh. Let me start dark. You don't even really hear guys getting 40s, you know. Like for dating that's an M, it's normally in the 30s, so you know they was trying to get them out of it. Yeah, tense.
But here's where it gets complicated. James was already serving life with an 18-year minimum for the bus stop shooting. And these sentences...
Do not tell me that they must make that concurrent. Because, alright, so concurrent, yeah, is when they make one sentence, yeah, eat into the other one. So if he's got 18 years and then he gets 40 years, yeah, the 18 years doesn't count because the 40 years overlaps it. But if he gets consecutive, that means he's got to do the 40 years on top of the 18 years, which makes it 58 more fucking years. Dark.
...would run consecutively, not concurrently.
Jesus! They gave him consecutive. Oh my fucking God. Yeah, the judge weren't playing. The judge weren't playing. He would consecutive. 58. 58. God damn.
In practical terms, James Byrne would need to serve approximately 58 years before being considered for parole. Do the maths. James was 24 in 2022. Add 58 years. He wouldn't be eligible for parole consideration until around 2080, when he'd be in his early 80s, if he lives that long. For all practical purposes, James Byrne will spend the rest of his natural life in prison. Simon Allen. Life imprisonment with a minimum term of 30 years. Allen was 55 at the time of sentencing. Add 30 years, he'd be 85 before parole consideration. Given his age and the statistically average life expectancy for British males, about 79 years, Simon Allen will almost certainly die in prison.
That's the estimated average years for British males. It's fucking guy.
David Harrison. Life imprisonment with a minimum term of 28 years. Harrison was 59. I add 28 years, parole consideration at age 87, if he survives that long. Again, this is functionally a whole life sentence disguised as a minimum term. Barry Glenn, 30 years for manslaughter. Glenn's manslaughter conviction, rather than murder, resulted in a determinate sentence rather.
To be honest with you, yeah, that manslaughter was mind games. Like, you might as well just done me for the end. That's what I say to you, manslaughter's mad because it can carry a very high sentence and it can carry a very low sentence. So when you get manslaughter, you're thinking, yeah, I've done something, I've ate, like, what, instead of the end. But yeah, even though you got the manslaughter, the judge didn't give a shit. That was just mind games. That meant nothing.
Than life. But 30 years is still devastating. Glenn was 47 at sentencing. He'd be 77 before release, having spent most of his remaining physically capable years behind bars. 4 men will grow old in prison, all because a 24-year-old couldn't handle losing a phone. Let's be clear about what these sentences mean in practice. Minimum.
You see when they say it like that, it sounds so mad, but it's actually the truth. But that's not how it feels at the time when you just been yacked and this. But they went about it the wrong way, man. You should just went after the youths. I don't know why you tried to go after Mardukes. It's just, yeah, they glitched, I'm not gonna lie.
Term doesn't guarantee release. It's the earliest point at which the parole board will consider release. Given the nature of the crime, the lack of remorse shown by any defendant, and the risk they pose to public safety, an actual release could be delayed years or even decades beyond the minimum. James Byrne won't be considered for parole until approximately 2016. He'll have been imprisoned for 44 years at that point, having spent his entire adult life in custody. Every birthday, every Christmas, every milestone he might have celebrated as a free man, all of it behind bars. Simon Allen and David Harrison will likely never breathe free air again. 30-year and 28-year minimums, at their ages, are death sentences in all but name. Barry Glenn might technically be released in his late 70s, but after 30 years of incarceration, he'll be institutionalized, in poor health, and facing a world that's moved on without him. Jacqueline Rutter's family left Liverpool Crown Court with verdicts and sentences, but those legal outcomes couldn't restore what was taken from them. A 53-year-old woman, a mother of 6, grandmother of 5, was executed on her doorstep at 1 o'clock in the morning by strangers she'd never wronged. She wasn't involved in drug dealing. She wasn't part of gang culture. She wasn't a participant in her son's robbery. She was simply collateral damage in a pride war between criminals. Her children lost their mother. Her grandchildren lost their grandmother. Holidays, birthdays, family gatherings, all of these now carry the shadow of her absence. Jacqueline should have been there to watch her grandchildren grow up, to offer advice to her children, to enjoy the later chapters of her life. Instead, her family gathers at her grave. The case raises uncomfortable questions about culpability and consequence. Yes.
Yeah, man. Look, these are the realities of the streets, the roads. You know what I'm saying? The life. More times you see a lot of glitz and glamour and motherfuckers looking fly and, you know what I'm saying, driving fly whips and fucking all the fly bitches and yeah, that's part of the game too. But depending on how you play chess, you know what I'm saying, you might get taken off the board, whether it's unalived or whether it's buried alive, like these twins and the other old guys involved. So in this day and age where, you know, we got the net, you could do YouTube, you know what I'm saying? You could research things a lot easier, you could resell trainers, you could do a lot of things. You could learn about marketing and market other people. You could push your music out there a lot easier. Your art, poems, you know what I'm saying? Whether you, I don't know, bro, bitches is getting rich off OnlyFans. That there's all sorts of things you could do nowadays, but that ain't gonna involve you either, because you know what it is, the stakes are just so high in that game. It's like life or death sometimes, or life behind the door, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, stay off the pavement, man.